My hello, brothers and sisters of the Fang. I am back, and as I have my hat on, pretty much it's like I decided to have this hat on, especially since I got a haircut recently, and it's not bad a haircut. It's just I just wanted to kind of show off my hat, and mostly because I got this little Imperial Guard stud here from one tournament at my Games Workshop that I played at, and also as when I got my Space Wolf Wolfguard edition. I also got this little badge here, which is the symbol of the Night Runner, which is Logan Grimnar's original company badge. Today we're going to tackle the kind of differences between the Codex and the supplement. I kind of wanted to get into this, mostly because it's like I've had time to look at the unit differences and the unit compare and some of the formation rules. And first off, I'm going to and it's like I'm kind of like seeing if we can try and tackle some of this stuff, mostly because it's like you want to try, because like of course I try to bring out some different stuff that we can talk about. First part we're gonna like the first book we're gonna I'm planning on tackling is the Champions of Fenris supplement. Basically, this is the go. Basically, to most players, it's the go-to. This is the go-to Codex, supplement, because they basically consider that this should be the Codex, in, pretty much. Because what happened is that because basically, of course, it depicts the company of Logan Grimnar, and it's a great book, very great, full of lots of unit formations to kind of mimic some of the stuff in some of the stuff, but it's not the type of combat tactics that I like to run. I mean, there are some great stuff. Like I'm gonna list some of this, and pretty much I don't. And of course, I kind of rehearse some of this stuff, but no. Basically, I am. It's like let's look at the detachment, for instance, the company of the Great Wolf detachment. You can take about 1 HQ, 2 elite as compulsory, and as optional you can add an additional 3 HQs, 3 troops, an additional 6 elites, 3 attacks, 3 heavy supports, a fortification, and a Lord of War. And like of course a lot of people are going to play Logan Grimnar because it's his company. But the thing is that it's made it easy for people to run Thunderwolf Death Stars. Now there are some Thunderwolf combat tactics that I like to run, but I don't want to make it so that I become so repetitive at using the same kind of battle tactic, because it's like the internet's flooded with Thunderwolf Cavalry Death Stars, and it's like it's not fun when you have to. It's not really fun. And let's see, the command benefits are actually pretty nice. All your all the Wolf Guard and their pack leaders are bumped up to weapon skill 5, so that's pretty boss. I like that. And you get all these interesting and you get all these relics too, which are very cool. Armor of Aswald Stormrock, 4-up Terminator armor with it will not die. I am gonna try. What I'm trying to do is, I haven't had the chance to run it, but I am trying to do a Torfin Daggerfist warlord, because he is the second in command of Grimnar's company, and I know. And it's like, I know some of you may think it, but it's like think that Arak is the second in command, but he's actually Grimnar's champion. He's not really meant. He's in charge of protecting Logan. I actually once I even thought because and actually because I like seventh edition rules, what I did was I gave Logan I no I gave Arak his warlord. I made him my warlord, and he got the uh, blessing of the wolf warlord trait from the Company of the Great Wolf Detachment, and it's like and it was actually pretty good. I was able to outflank Arak's Shield Brothers on the second turn, and I practically won the game. Uh, I like it's basically I like the rules. It's just that these formations. Well, no, not all the formations. The formations are actually pretty good. The formations are actually pretty good. Void Claws are pretty good. Grimnar's War Council, I have yet to test it. Although with Void Claws, mostly because I've been noticing in a lot of the later newer seventh edition codexes, GW is releasing a lot of these combat formations that allow units to uh, that allows specific units to assault at the turn that they arrive from reserves, which is basically like, why don't you just roll it back to fifth edition? Why don't you just roll it back to fifth edition and say like, oh, units arriving from reserves can charge on the turn they arrive, basically meaning that the space rules will become broken again. Because what it is that in the what I'm going to do next, what I'm going to do later on is I'm going to talk about the Codex, the official codex, the primary codex, and its ability to allow units to outflank. But anyway, a lot of these formations in Grimnar's count in the Champions of Fenris supplement are actually pretty good. Arak Shield Brothers are a must to take. I've yet to try the Thunderstrike formation. It's like if I get the time to play a game, I hope it's next weekend because it's Thanksgiving break for me. And what I want, and also it's like the thing is that these major formations, like these whole army formations, like the Champions of Fenris formation, great stuff. But the thing is, it's points heavy. It's about 30. It's over 3,000. It's over 3,000 points, and it's like if you want to go for a 3,000 point army, 3,000 point game, I could take Champions of Fenris because the thing is that all these guys get these pretty wicked rules, coupled with the same formation, coupled with the rules that they get for for their formations. It's like the special rules, they get fear. They cause fear. They are fearless as well. But like the Great Wolf, as long as Logan Grimnar is alive, all non-vehicle models in this formation reroll failed hit rolls in close combat, which is actually pretty nice. But it's it's hard to get certain models into combat, especially like, but it's like in the close combat because they're trying to focus on shooting now in this edition, or they're trying to balance shooting with close combat assaults. It's sometimes players think it's a very sometimes what most players think it's a very straightforward operation. It's like, oh, I just drop it here. I just drop one unit here. They'll get ready to charge. But no, you have to confuse your enemy. You have to confuse your opponent. You have to make them think. You have to make them think one way. You have to make them think one way when you're thinking two ways. The Iron High Priest rule, which is actually pretty cool. All your vehicles have "It will not die," meaning that, which is actually pretty good. Which is actually pretty good because Logan Grim, because Bjorn the Fell-Handed, he can regain his hull points. That's actually pretty awesome. And if you take Grimnar's War Council, you can put together. And if you take Grimnar's War Council and take the Iron Priest out and put him close by Logan's forces, he can become a very dangerous unit indeed. Rune High Priest. All models in the formation have Adamantine Will. Uh, Wolf High Priest, all of the Slayers alive, all models in this formation have preferred enemy, which is actually pretty nice. But again, it's a very great formation. It's just that it's very points heavy. It's gonna require a lot of points to run, and it's pretty much you just really need this. It's like it makes you wonder, like, Games Workshop, why did you single out? Well, I wouldn't say single out the wolves entirely, because maybe I haven't seen the Blood Angels formation, if they have a big formation, or the Grey Knights formation. It's just that they're trying to make it's like they want to. I somehow they want to make it fair. I am not sure in what way, but well, maybe we'll find out. Just leave a comment. But anyway, the Champions of Fenris supplement. It's a very primary thing. You can take your Wolf Guard. You can take. It's because your compulsory is elites. So you can take Wolf Guard. You can take Wolf Guard Terminators. You can take Dreadnoughts. You can run an entire Dreadnought army, and that's actually pretty good, especially with the Hellfrost cannons. Sure, they're 20 points, but you can take some. But you can run at that against Necrons. That would be fun, because that would be fun. Because it's like I ran simulations with the Necrons a while back. Well, and it was like you had to. What it was is that. Like say I had seven. My frost cannon hit 5 Necrons. The Necrons were wounded the Necrons because it's AP3. I used the blast template. What happened was, and what I rolled was that a couple of these guys ended up failing their strength test, so they can't use their reanimation protocol. So then my opponent rolls their reanimation protocol and loses maybe 2 more guys, maybe 3. And so basically you have a chance of wiping out I'd say 4 guys. And it's a pretty good one, especially if you're trying to use the Hellfrost Destructor. The Hellfrost Destructor is actually because which is the large blast template. I want that back in. I kind of like that, and and it's like you just want, and you kind of want you want that. But now let's get to the primary codex, which I love. I love its rule. I love its unit formations. I like the formation. I like the codex formation. But the thing is that it's also points heavy. If you know how to allocate the army if you know how to allocate the army, you can actually make it for a 2,000 point game, or maybe a little over 2,000 points. Instead, so you just have to know where to shift the weight. And the real energy in this is the use of the Cunning of the Wolf rule, which allows the army, which is you have to roll d6 for before the game begins. Roll d6. You get 2, and on a roll of a 6, that unit gets the outflank rule. But it requires that you have to have an independent character. But you can get it, but can modify it if you roll to a 4, if it's a troops unit and it's accompanied by an independent character. Now here's the issue. It's the great company formation again. Pretty much what I'm saying is what I'm talking about. It's that it's focusing there are only two independent characters in this. So meaning that you're gonna have to take this formation. So it's like to really use that, to really get a handle of all that of the unit of the army. You're going to have to deploy. You're going to have to use the Great Company, and you're going to have to use the Wolves Unleashed detachment to kind of add more independent characters to your troops unit so that they can outflank. What I think, basically, what they should do is that what Games Workshop should have done, because I take this back to the I take this back all the way to the I take this back to the Space Marine Gladius Strike Force detachment, which is like, oh, if you take a Space Marine Demi Company, and it's like, oh, you do take two Space Marine Demi Companies, and then all transports, then the Drop Pod, Razorback, and Rhino transports are free to use. What they should and I'm thinking that they should do that with. Space Wolves too. And it's like and also to kind of utilize something. What would be kind of interesting is that, oh, let's make it so that make the space, make the Wolf Guard pack leaders independent characters. That way you can utilize your 4+ outflank rule. And also, guys, everybody, if you're gonna use the outflank rule, I highly recommend that you use Razorbacks or Rhinos. The thing with Rhinos, if you add a Rune Priest to the squad, you can use the Living Lightning to fire out transport. And also you can, but with Rhinos, but with a Razorback, you can, if you can really focus it, you can tank shock your opponent's vehicle. Because basically what it is, what this formation does, what this detachment does, is that it wants you to do a coordinated assault between, say, a drop pod with deep striking units and outflanking units. That way you can do sandwich your opponent in and prevent them from escaping. So what you can do there is that, say, Rune Priests with a Long Fang squad deep striking in a drop pod. Second turn with a Razorback of Grey Hunters outflanking with another Rune Priest. Or maybe even a Wolf Priest. Or maybe even a Wolf Guard Battle Leader. That way you can have, in a way I kind of recommend the Battle Leader, because you get 2 wounds and you can get a Storm Shield for 15 points, and it's you can do a lot of damage with that. You would just want to, and it's you can basically, you have a Razorback can fire maybe with a twin-linked las cannon, or a las cannon plasma cannon, while your Long Fangs possesses a plasma gun, and the heavy weapons will be a combination of bolters, multi-melta, and a las cannon. It's all up to you. It's just that you want to set up a crossfire where it becomes hard for your opponent to fight back. It's if you can get a drop pod in with a Long Fang squad deep struck in, and you can protect him long enough, have them protected long enough, you've got yourself a pretty defensible squad. It's pretty defensible, but it's also like once they settle in on the third turn, they practically could rip an entire your opponent's battle lines apart, while everyone else is while he's trying to reform or trying to bring in reinforcements. Well, this kind of brings me to another. This kind of brings me to another thing I was wanting to talk about as well. It's how with rune priests, I feel with rune priests that like no, not rune priests actually. Njal and also the wolf space with psychic powers. What I think they could have done, what Games Workshop could have done, was make say murderous hurricane a vortex power. That would have been amazing. It's basically, oh, I'm gonna count. All right, it's a D3 murderous hurricane. It's like D3 murderous hurricane vortexes, and it's like large blast vortexes, and and they move around the battlefield, and it's like, oh, you're getting hit by D3. You're getting hit by 3d6 or 2d6 rending hits. That's what could. That's like. I feel Space Wolf Psychic Powers got shortchanged. They kind of got the shaft. I don't know why. It just feels like it. No, I know he did because yeah, he got an extra wound, but they took away his Lord of Tempests ability, which is that amazing table, which was so much fun to play. And it's like even though I practically kind of missed making my rolls for it. But anyway, I hope this talk about the differences between the two books was useful, and how it could help bring out more formation tactics or more unit or more design flexibility. So, and actually, my next video, I kind of want to talk about the tactical objectives in the game, because it's for the Space Wolves, because it's like if you can, because it's like you just have to know how to use them right, or expect if you're gonna if you're gonna draw them. But anyway, leave comments on the bottom of the screen. Leave comments at the bottom. Just let me know what you think.